everyone. Welcome to the Do the Thing podcast. This is your host, Stacey Lauren. Well, I love these moments, you guys, because when I get to explore new things, I get to meet really cool people along the way. And I have been actually sort of following my next guest story for a while through admiration and just getting to see what they've done through this amazing company. And I had asked my friend Sue if she knew of anyone that could really help catapult this audience accelerator program that I'm working on right now. And she was able to introduce me to them. So I've been a fangirl of theirs for a while, and now I get to interview them. So I'm excited to talk to them about how they built their company and then also their audience and then monetize them and then all of the amazing things that they're doing. They've built this amazing company called Miss Mary's Mix. And through that, they've created 2 product lines out of that, which is cocktail mixes and then also sinless syrups. And it's really incredible because when you get to meet people that are doing incredible things and then it gets to evolve and iterate along the way, that's really doing the thing, right? Because you have to start somewhere. And then as you move forward, you're able to just turn it into something that maybe you couldn't even imagine. And so I'm so excited to welcome my next guest to the show, Ryan and Tristina. Hi, guys.
Oh, thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thanks for joining. It's so cool because I feel like what you guys are doing is so cool in the marketplace because it's so unique and so different. And then the fact that you're able to do it together through your different skill sets is also pretty phenomenal. I'd love to start off and just have you share with the listeners just about you and your story in terms of what you're doing with the company and how you got started.
Sure, he wanted enjoy the next part.
But so I'm Tristina, and Ryan and I, we've been married for 17 years, and we've always had this entrepreneurial spirit, but we really didn't know what we were going to get into. We homeschool our kids, and we work together for a while, so we've always had family ties in entrepreneurial businesses, and we weren't really sure which one of these ideas that we could hang our hat on. So about 14 years ago, we wanted to start a family and we could not get pregnant. And I tried everything. I thought I was really into shape. I was a cheerleader for the Minnesota Vikings. And so we were very much in shape. And I thought that I was caring about what I was putting in my body. But long story short, what I found out was that I had a wheat intolerance or sensitivity and also a sensitivity to artificial sweeteners. So we kind of looked at our lives. You were like, oh, I drink a Diet Coke. I try to cut back sugar. But what I was doing when I was cutting it back on the sugar was adding these artificial sweeteners. And it was really just wreaking havoc on my body. I think my cells were that like an 80-year-old when I was 25. So I hadn't ovulated in years. And I thought that was just what happened. It's when you're really active. But what happened, it was my body was just shutting down. So we looked into it and we made a lot of changes, and that's how business would work.
And why don't you share a little bit about what Miss Mary's Mix is and kind of what you're doing, and then we'll dive into how you started it.
Sure. So like you mentioned, we have 2 different product lines. We have a cocktail mix line, and then we have our coffee syrup line. We started with our cocktail mix line, and we started as a 1 SKU Bloody Mary mix company. At the time, we didn't really have a vision for kind of the whole outlook of the brand. We just knew that up in the upper Midwest, Bloody Marys are very popular. If we could turn this into something great, but at the time, e-commerce wasn't a thing, at least not in my world. And then I would just go around and sell the product 1 case at a time. And so I figured out if I could build it up to like 100 cases a month, I made $12 a case. And I thought $1,200 a month extra, we can throw it in the kids' college fund or something. And it's a fun little side business. And I guess over time, we really just stuck within that business model for a while. So we went to 2 SKUs, so a second Bloody Mary. And then we slowly started to grow into like more of the traditional retail. So we got a test set in the Target for like 75 stores. Went good, and over the years, I've kind of increased our products. And then same with Walmart, started with them in a small test set, and we have 3 products in around 500 Walmart stores now. But really, our whole business model was brick and mortar through the cocktail mix line, because I knew zero about e-commerce for one. Our first website, you couldn't even buy the product off our website. It was literally just talking about the product. And it was more, we had a friend who was a really good graphic designer, and this was more of like a showcase for his portfolio. And so we got free design out of the deal, but it was not a very functional website, I would say. And so as time went on, we thought, well, we should create a website that people can buy the product, but we were in glass bottles and there was a ton of breakage and it was super expensive to ship. And it was almost more a pain to try to grow anything e-commerce because we just weren't set up for it. I mean, we were fulfilling the orders out of our little office that we had. And we'd have like one here, two there, nothing major.
We realized that we weren't building an audience. That was what we were missing. These bottles were getting shipped out to random places. We never emailed them back. We just weren't set up for growing the fan base.
Yeah, because it being in brick and mortar, I mean, our customer really was the buyer at Target, the buyer at Walmart, the grocery buyer and things like that. But the customer that went in and bought it off the shelf, we had no idea who they were. So there was no way for us to retarget that customer. So literally for 10 years in this business, we had zero audience. We had no idea who our customer was. And so what happened was when COVID hit, we realized buyers, they weren't taking on new product because supply chain issues, everything was status quo. So where we kept growing every year, all of a sudden you're flat. And there was no way for 2 years for us to do anything about it. We couldn't get out of it. And it's like, if you're going to just be flat, you're basically going to slow down. And we thought, well, we need to figure out something here because we've spent 10 years trying to build this through brick and mortar. What do we do? And we were listening to the capitalism.com podcast. And over probably for the year and a half or 2 years prior to ever thinking about doing anything in e-commerce. And so we reached out and joined the incubator program to kind of figure out, we don't know anything about this. And this looks like this could be what we need because we knew we needed to take control over the business and over our customer. We just didn't really know how to do it. And so, for instance, we had an email list over 10 years. I mean, a lot of you guys are going to laugh, I'm sure. Over 10 years, our email list might have been about 2,500 people. That's it. Never used it, never did anything with it. And in fact, when we tried to roll it into audio, we had to get rid of them all because they were just junk. So
we really wanted to expand into different products, but we weren't sure which direction to go. So the first thing that we did was start to talk to people.
The emails that we did have.
And phone call. And just called people. And I would just cold call them and be like, I'm from Miss Mary's Mix. And why do you buy our product? I had no idea. Really had to get to know our customer.
Because part of our product lining was not just Bloody Marys, but it was traditional cocktail mixers like Old Fashioned Mix, Margarita, Paloma, that are traditionally really high sugar products. We formulated them to be not sugar free, but low sugar. So the flavor profile was there. Somebody that likes margarita, they can have it. It only has 5 grams of sugar versus a standard like 30 grams sugar margarita. So we were catering to a low sugar audience. We didn't know why we were doing that. We just did it because that's the products that we like. We liked low sugar products. And quite honestly, there wasn't really anything in the marketplace that was doing that. There was sugar-free products out there, but they were just chock full of chemicals and it was just all junk. And then everything else was standard legacy products. And so we kind of fit somewhere in the middle there. And so when Tristina started talking to people of why they liked our brand, it's because of the low sugar aspect. And it was taking traditional products and creating a good option that they actually taste really good while being low sugar.
And free from artificial sweets.
Mm-hmm.
So when we transitioned into our next product line, we did it in a way, we thought finally about building an audience. So that's what we started doing before we launched our products. We started a very small group of people, but we started talking about it and telling them, we're going to make this sugar-free coffee syrup line. What do you want? Tell me about what's important to you. We started sending out samples and it grew and grew. Now our group isn't huge, but they're active and they want samples and they want to give us their input. We have people every day telling us what they want next and we're going to make it for them. But at least we're talking to our customer.
Yeah. And so right now we have a whole fruit flavored line that we're working on. And so we'll go to our Facebook group and there's a couple thousand people in it now with our first year here, starting at 0. But we'll go to that and ask them who wants samples. We're going to make some samples. We want honest feedback, a survey. And so we use them to help develop our products for the product launch. So they have the really active users in there have kind of a sense of ownership, I'd say, over the direction on the flavor profiles and the product and everything else. So that's what we've been using the audience for in terms of trying to really engage them into the future of the brand. And again, it's only a couple thousand people, but I think we can more or less double it each year. That'd be probably a pretty good goal and really work just with going back to our current customer base and what do they want to see next. And that's been our probably number one goal with that group. So
you guys are the ultimate do the thing story because you're starting off with this rough draft goal, this idea of what you want to do and how you started with just saying, I'm going to sell a case at a time. You're not setting this unrealistic expectation, right? You're just sort of starting with the basics in terms of what you need to do to at least get it going. It sounds like you didn't even plan on it being what it is right now, a hugely successful business. You were just thinking it could be some side money in the beginning and then starting off.
I mean, there was a moment where we started to get a lot of traction in brick and mortar. And I would say this was probably, maybe about 2017, 16, somewhere in there. And we were growing pretty quick. And I said, oh my gosh, we got to just keep this going. But as we did that, cocktail mixes you don't drink every day, right? So the consumption rate of them are pretty low. They can be somewhat seasonal. And as you try to grow through a really big geographical footprint, brick and mortar is brutal because there's slotting fees, that's free fills. You got to pay everybody off to get on the shelves. And then maybe you'll get paid on your product. And there's some really good accounts out there like Walmart, Target are great, but the local grocery stores, we could send them $20,000 in product and might be paid $5,000 on it. So you're losing money just to try to gain a bigger footprint. And that got to a point where it was so stressful trying to do it and trying to continue growth. Just financially, the cost of it was insane. And at the end of the day, we still had no idea who we were selling to. In fact, when we got into the incubator, one of the coaches asked us who we were selling to, and we told him exactly what we thought we knew. And after we realized it's like the people that are buying us, it's a completely different person than we ever thought. The only reason we knew that is because Tristina went through the time and the hundreds of surveys and phone calls and everything else that really dialed in exactly who is buying our product.
And I'd love to talk to you more about your Facebook group because this is one of the things I'm going to be showing people through the Audience Accelerator event. Going to do a Did the Thing event where we're going to do all this done for you stuff, helping them create their Facebook group, their community, be able to help them kind of do what you're doing. Because I think a lot of people think, oh, there's so much time that goes into this, but there could be for sure, right? If you love it and that's what you want to focus on is the Facebook group. But there's also, it sounds like the way you guys did it is you created it. And even though it wasn't huge numbers in the beginning, it was the feedback from this group that was what helped you then build this and scale your brand. And while all your customers probably aren't in the group is the thing that's helping fuel everything else.
Exactly. Yes. It's not like a sales force group, but it is. If I want to talk to people about the brand, people love to talk, right? They want to give their opinion. This is just a perfect little group to go to. And said recently, you just did a poll. Where do you buy us? On our website or on Amazon? And then they told me, and I went to all those people who said we buy it on Amazon, and I talked to them further. In the end, I asked for a review, which is so important to a small business like this. So you're right. It's more of being able to talk to the core customer, but it's not like a buy now and here's our coupon because we really do that.
Yeah. We're not using the audience to try to monetize anything. It's more of building a relationship. And so the way that we feed the Facebook group is if you buy us through our website, you'll get a little thank you card. Another thank you card is just inviting them into the group to share the recipes, learn how to make funny drinks, and just engage with us. And that's how the group is growing. Is I think we're probably getting about 25% or 30% maybe that are joining in. And so on Amazon, we can't really do much on that one, but it's really just off the website. And so it just helps kind of grow it and get people engaged. So
yeah, and it's almost like then that social proof is able to then exponentially increase everything else, because that's what you're seeing. You're seeing this momentum going with your company, and then it kind of funnels into everything else.
Yeah, it's definitely a piece of the puzzle. And I think coming from the previous life cycle of the business with no audience, I think we're kind of learning as we go too, and trying to, we're probably things we could do a lot better with it. But at this point, as we grow it, like Tristina said, the goal is not to just try to keep selling them things.
Yeah.
It's trying to get them to love the brand, and they'll buy anyway. So
I'd love to hear when you started the Facebook group, and you said it was small in the beginning. I'd love to hear more about that. How did you get the people to join, and how big was it when you were able to use it for calling people and be able to get to know the customer better?
Honestly, I think I invited like 50 of my friends. That's about it. And probably 25 people joined. So what I did is we called it a focus group first. I'm like, hey, Ryan, invited some people that have the same values as us, who eat well, love food, but also want to be very healthy with their choices. And so I started it very small, and I said, who wants a sample? And everyone wants a sample. So I sent them samples, and pretty soon they invited their friends, and they might have invited their friends. But it was literally just people we knew at first. And then we still have not once sent an ad or ran an ad to this group. So it's just been organically over the last year. I try to go into other groups, or I try to talk to other people online that have similar interests. Or we even used to, on our ads for sales, like Facebook ad, to get it into our website. And if they had a question, I would say, hey, join this group. But it was literally one person at a time, and it's still like that. But it did start, I think it was like 25 people. And I was like, who wants this?
Yeah, I think by the time we had our pre-launch, I want to say we only had a couple hundred people.
Yeah, probably like 200.
Yeah, can we talk more about your pre-launch and kind of what that looked like?
So I guess we teased it. Obviously, in the Facebook group was kind of like our early channel. We started running Facebook ads under the guise of, this is a pre-sale right now. Product will ship within 4 weeks or so. And so we started doing paid ads at that point. And then it was where small amount of emails that we had that we were able to retain, which might have been only a couple hundred at the time. And so our pre-launch was not, like, we just didn't have a huge group to launch to be honest. But between getting it on Amazon and then our group that was pretty faithful following, a couple hundred people, they pretty much all bought. So the first 6 weeks of being on, I think it was like $100,000 in sales, but that was again to a very small group. A good chunk of that could come through Amazon too. So, because you just get the natural sales through Amazon. So,
well, I'm sure because the group was buying, then that's where you were coming up in the algorithm more on Amazon, right? Yeah. So then it was able to escalate from there. I think it's such a great story because there's so many people that are wanting numbers, and that's part of their thing that they need. Mm-hmm. And even though it's called Audience Accelerator, it's really about engaging more with the people that you have, because the more engaged they are, the more they're going to feel, like you said, like a ownership, a part of it. And it kind of is more, I don't know, just as someone running it, I think it feels good, right? To kind of even know who you're talking to.
Agreed. And I handle all the customer service personally that comes through the website. So somebody didn't need to order this, or they want to return it, or something got screwed up with a shipment or whatever. I handle it all because it's another avenue, to kind of stay engaged with the customer on a personal level. And as time goes on, it's going to be too hard to do that. But as it sits now, it doesn't take up that much time. And it seems like it's a really important aspect of getting some feedback and like the people that want to return it, why, what are they picking up on it? And because we're always working on the products, we're on I think our fourth formulation in 1 year on our second launch. So we're constantly working on it to try to make it better. And the way you get your feedback is helping your customer.
And I like being part of that group too. I'm honestly interested in these people. I'm not an employee that's like, I have to respond to every comment because that's my job. I'm like, let me chat to you. I need to know about this. And I know your concern is this. Let me help you fix it. And so I think people really pick up on it. I've got a lot of people try to friend me on Facebook. I'll take them. I'll take it. I've never met you, but you're a fan in my group. And yes, I'll do anything that I can to continue that relationship.
Yeah. And I think you're right. It's because you're coming from that same value, right? Of wanting to be healthy and caring for the things that you put in your body. And so that immediately gives you a connection point, a starting place where you have this commonality with the people that are in there.
Mm.
Yeah. Literally just today, we had posted something and somebody said, yeah, but I could get skinny startups is like I guess it would be our competition. Now, like I can get skinny startups for half the price. And I was like, totally understand that. However, artificial sweeteners affected me in this way and it could affect you. And it doesn't, that's fine. So that's why we're here. We're here to help your body heal from all of those toxins that you put in your body for so long. We're here to help your gut microbiome. So like reflux that and to help with inflammation. And there's so many different things that your body is going to when you put these artificial sweeteners in them. So I'm trying to get out the word a little bit more and more. Like, hey, I get that we're more expensive, but this is why.
Yeah. And because they're so connected to you, there's this trust, right? Where they know that you're speaking from personal experience, which I think makes the impact even more.
Right.
Yeah. It's like in a world of Facebook ads, we're just another company to have these people. But if we can get them to kind of, if they buy, if we can start talking with them, then the lifetime value of the customer is going to be a lot longer than if they buy a run, they just kind of figure on it. So,
yeah. The other thing I noticed, and I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts about this, is with having a Facebook group and the community and the people that are getting you and they're getting that personal interaction, it's also if someone else comes in and they don't understand what's happening, the community almost helps them understand it.
Yes, there's so many people on them that answer questions now. But I don't even have to do that.
Yeah.
And I love those people. They're not like family friends anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's great because you're giving them that space of something that's important to them. And that value is then shared with all the other people too. And I think that's what I think a lot of people don't realize is how much we all need that connection and to be with people that want the same thing as us. And so it really gives that energy of growth, I think, too, because they have each other to talk to too.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So let's just talk to somebody new that is just hearing this and like, oh, maybe I could try this, and they don't know what to sell yet. So it sounds like from hearing you guys, figuring out what's important to you, because for you, you had the health side of things where you had the infertility, you realized it was the wheat. And that's when you started inspecting different things and then the artificial sweeteners and things like that. So that's when the product came, but still no audience. So then it'd be pretty much creating that Facebook group of something that's important to you, maybe not even the product yet. It could be either a focus group or just a simple Facebook group, inviting your friends to the group. And then is there anything else that you'd recommend from that starting point that you think that would help someone just sort of starting to play around with this world?
I would say the biggest thing is just to ask questions. You can have your problem and my issue can be different than your issue, but we can find some common ground there. How can we help solve everyone's problems? Not everybody's, but most of people's problems in this category. And that's just start talking, start asking. And I would not even have a product in mind. I mean, maybe in mind, but not a product in the background of your head trying to steer it towards these people. Ask questions. Hands down.
And what questions do you think would be good?
I think it's the simple questions and letting them talk. So what's important to you when you have your coffee, your morning coffee? If you're on keto, what do you find that's really hard to be on keto? Is it to still have this sweet celebration and you still want to go out at night, or you still want to have a cocktail at home and you still want to have a coffee in the morning, and you'll like something sweet. Not everyone likes flat coffee. And so how can I help solve that problem for you so that because everyone's on their journey, right? So I want to help them on their journey. I'm not plugging them into my journey.
And then from there, you think just even 100 people to start would be good, just to get that focus group of people as you're starting to figure out what you want to do?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we didn't have any special formula. We just started to talk to people, and we're not the kind of people who are social media influencers. We don't have a lot of friends. We're just the normal average Wisconsin-based type of That's where we started off. So we didn't do anything special.
And then there's other people also that are interested in the Audience Accelerator who are kind of where you were in the beginning, either selling brick and mortar or they're selling on e-commerce, but they don't have a community yet. And so what would you tell those people that maybe haven't started a community yet, but they're selling on the other channels?
To build on, I think what you can fall into this trap in this arena, and it can be where you look at your counterpart and they have 100,000 people in their Facebook group, and you're like, oh my God, how am I going to ever do that? And you could kind of get to this mental comparison over, I don't have anything, right? And you have this. And it's like, I guess at the end of the day, you don't really worry about it. You just slowly, you got to start somewhere. And like our group is still not that big by any sort of metric, but it's always growing and it's active, and it keeps people engaged into the brand while not always having to get sold on the brand. And so I would say don't get too overwhelmed about it, because I mean, just starting with what we had, it was enough to kind of get the ball rolling and then get really good product validation. And when we set out the first round of samples, and we've tweaked things because of the group, going back to what Tristina said, what do you guys want to see next? And then we'll narrow it down and we'll let them vote on the top ones. And we've launched different collections over their feedback, what they wanted. Even though it's not a massive group, you get the feedback you want because you're talking to your customer, or giving them kind of like a role in your world. So, and if it's too big, I think it'd be a little overwhelming anyway. So,
yeah, it's such a good point, because the smaller it is, you're able to engage more without being too time consuming too.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the biggest complaint I hear from people that are already selling millions of dollars on Amazon, but they want the community. They just don't want to do the time part of it. But I think what they don't realize, like you said, is it doesn't have to be everyone. It's just really more of a focus group. I mean, also, and a place that you can bring people in that do want that community as well.
Yeah. And you want it to grow, right? But I think for me, I would have thought we're going to have a group of 10,000 people in a couple of years. I would have never this that way, because we had no clue how to even do it. And I don't even think we still do, to be honest. It's just inviting people in after the point of purchase. The one is through the thank you card, which I mentioned. And then we have an email that goes out to them that invites them in too. And it's just like inviting them into the family, more or less. So
one thing that happened is I started posting, and obviously when we're posting, right? I was like, every other day I would like, I tried this, now try this. And I felt like it got to be too much about me, but act off. So I probably only post once or twice a week. So for those people who think it's overwhelming and too time consuming, it's really not. I mean, it's such a small part of what I do in my life. Now, I do try to go in there once a day and let people into the group, and which takes 1 second, and then to comment on people. If somebody else posts something, I'm on that. I want to make sure that they're like, bravo. Thank you for your feedback. Thank you for this, and let me know how I can not. So that they feel like when they do post something that someone is watching. Mm-hmm. But it's not too time consuming, and you don't have to post every day.
And for people that aren't on, let's say they don't have the product yet, so they're just doing the Facebook group at this point, what would be the monetization strategy for that? So when they have the Facebook group, the people are, and probably how you guys started, where you had your friends in there, and then all of a sudden you did the pre-launch. Are you then just emailing them as you're selling the product, or do you announce it, or is there a certain process that you used for that or that you use now for that. So if someone joins through the Facebook group first, that's the first part of the funnel.
Every once in a while, we'll do like, hey, there's 10% off on the website today. But mainly, it's not a route for selling. And we wanted to make it so that people feel comfortable just sticking around and learning. We do not throw sales at them. And on the about is our website. That's about it. Some people will say, I don't want one bottle. How do I do that? And I'll say, it's something fun. But I'm not throwing out links every day or trying to get sales because that's not an intent for the group.
I think for your question, for somebody that is looking to build a group just to kind of strictly monetize it, I don't know what you do, to be honest. I think, yeah, you could just throw that as specific offers, but I think our perspective has always been that kind of becomes a little disingenuous a little bit over time. And if you're in the group just for a deal, then you kind of become the brand that is only getting your customers to buy when you're giving them deals. And we're at a higher price point and we rarely do sales. Rarely. We're starting to test like a little flash sales strategy here moving forward. But really the sales are 10% off your initial purchase. You join either on email or our SMS list. But outside of that, we'll do a Black Friday, Cyber Monday deal, but we really aren't trying to be too salesy, I would say, and too discounty. So
we're not building this group or building an audience to double our sales year after year. We're trying to grow steady and smart. And if we can, all we want is to make sure that our sales go up every year, but we're not trying to double or triple our sales and sell in 5 years. We're just trying to make a living, just the two of us, and we're working.
Okay, what would you say is your biggest piece of advice for people on doing the thing?
Just keep swimming. We had a say for the last 10 years, like, just keep swimming, just keep swimming from fighting needle. Yeah. Just don't give up. If you just do a little bit, day after day, year after year, it will start to snowball and over.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, I guess it's just piggybacking off of that. I think it's so important to not be afraid to pivot your business, but to not do something for 3 years and be like, okay, I got it to $500,000. I'm going to go start this one now. And then do that one for 3 years and then go start another one. And if you were to take those 9 years and really just stuck with the original one and really got to know who you were selling to, we were late on that. We were 10 years late on that. So this year is almost like a rebirth of the business for us. But we would have never gotten to this point if we would have just given it up a few years ago because we were like, what else are we going to do? We can't grow it. But you can. I mean, you just got to work through it. You got to work through the problem and the sell. I think it's just piggybacking off of that, just keep swimming mantra, but it doesn't mean keep doing the same thing over and over. And it just means don't give up. So
our whole family, we call Ryan the power seller. I'm like, the air conditioning is broken. Literally, we're in Florida and our air is out. He knows how to go fix it. He doesn't know what I'm doing, but he figures it out. I'm like, my car, something's going on with it. He doesn't know. He's not a mechanic, but he'll figure it out. And it's funny because my dad owns a bunch of businesses too. I'm like, what are you doing today? He's like, solving problems. He's not going to work in a business. He just solving problems.
What do you think helps you do that, Ryan?
Like a natural curiosity, maybe, where it's always more fun to kind of learn through things and try to figure it out. And then let's say you can't figure it out. There's always someone you can call, or you can always pay somebody to kind of come in and fix. And that really, you can extrapolate that down to the little aspects of our business. We didn't know how to do so many things. And it's like, well, you can hire it out. And we did hire out some agencies and things in the beginning. But over time, I'm like, you know what? We can just do this ourselves. And it's just taking one thing at a time and just being curious, I guess, just naturally curious. So that's it.
Well, please share where people can find out about you and your company. And I'm imagining that it would be great for after they get your product for them to review it as well, because I'm sure that helps.
Yeah, definitely. You can find us on Amazon or our website, missmarysmix.com. You can just Google sinless syrups and they should be all over the place.
And then over to the Facebook page, which is sugar-free sinless syrups, sharing your recipes.
Thank you so much. You guys are incredible. Seriously, it's been really wonderful getting to do this with you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You're
thank
so
you.
sweet. It's just us fighting through. Ended up kind of about homeschool the kids too on about it. And it's just, you never get any recognition for it. And it's just day by day. So we really appreciate this. Thank you.
Yeah, and you could see just how you can piggyback off each other. I could just tell the synergy through this interview, and it's probably amazing to have a partner that you're able to do life with and then do something like this with.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. We're very lucky.
And for the listeners, do the thing. Don't wait for opportunity. Create it.